Have you ever felt a strange disconnect between someone's words and their energy? Like their mouth is saying, "Congratulations," but their eyes whisper something colder? What if the very people who smile at your success are silently hoping for your failure? It's easy to trust the surface, but what if the real danger is hiding behind kindness that's too polished, too perfect? Now pause and really consider this. How often do we stop to question the sincerity of those around us? We like to believe we're good judges of character, that we can sense when someone is being real versus when they're pretending. But the truth is much trickier. Jealousy and deception don't usually announce themselves with red flags. They come wrapped in friendly smiles, polite words, and just enough charm to lull you into trusting them. And because they wear such convincing masks, these hidden intentions often cause the deepest harm, especially in our closest relationships. Picture this. You've just achieved a huge milestone at work. Everyone's congratulating you, friends, co-workers, even people who barely talk to you. On the surface, it feels like a celebration. But beneath it, you sense something uneasy. A glance that lingers too long. A compliment that feels rehearsed. A handshake that lacks warmth. Maybe it's envy. Maybe it's resentment. You can feel it, but you can't quite prove it. These subtle cues of hidden jealousy and dishonesty are often invisible unless you've trained yourself to see them. And that's exactly what this video is here to help you do. Today, you'll learn practical strategies to uncover what's hidden beneath the surface, tools to recognize when someone's intentions don't match their words. But these aren't just psychological tricks of the modern world. They're drawn from the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, a school of thought that has guided warriors, leaders, and thinkers for over 2,000 years. By understanding and applying these Stoic principles, you'll build emotional resilience and clarity of thought. You'll learn how to protect your peace from toxic influences without becoming cold or suspicious of everyone around you. More than that, you'll gain the discernment to see who genuinely supports your growth and who secretly resents it. These lessons aren't just helpful, they're transformative. They empower you to let go of what you can't control and root yourself in inner calm, no matter what chaos surrounds you. And as your perception sharpens, you'll begin to notice the people who truly support your success don't compete, compare, or secretly tear you down. They lift you. They celebrate you with no strings attached. But before we dive into these life-changing insights, I have a simple challenge for you. Stay with me until the very end of this video. Every strategy we uncover will build on the last, and together they form a powerful roadmap to self-mastery and inner peace. If you're ready to walk that path, go ahead, leave a comment below saying, "I am ready to embark on the journey." Let's begin. As we begin this journey into Stoic wisdom, remember what we uncovered just moments ago. Appearances can be deceiving. Smiles can mask envy. Words can cloak intentions. To truly protect your peace, you must look deeper beyond what is said to what is done. Let's begin with the first principle: observe their actions. One of the core lessons in Stoic philosophy is strikingly simple yet deeply profound. Don't trust words. Trust actions. Words are soft. They bend. They twist. They can be polished to sound sincere while hiding something entirely different beneath. But actions? Actions are raw, unfiltered. They're the true mirror of someone's character. People may say what they think you want to hear, but their behavior tells you who they really are. That's why Stoicism urges us not to be fooled by flattery or pretty speeches. Instead, pay attention to the disconnects, those small but revealing. Contradictions between someone's words and their behavior. Imagine a coworker who cheers you on after a big win. They smile, shake your hand, maybe even give a toast to your success. But days later, you learn they've been downplaying your achievement to others or subtly undermining you in meetings. Their words were sweet, but their actions reek of hidden resentment. Have you ever met someone like that? Someone who always talks a big game, but when it matters, when it's time to act, they vanish? These aren't harmless oversights. They're warning signs. Inconsistencies like these often point to concealed jealousy, insecurity, or dishonesty. And Stoicism gives us the lens to see them clearly. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, captured it perfectly. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This wisdom reminds us, it's not about the image a person tries to project. It's about the reality they reveal through consistent behavior. Think about a friend who always says, "I'm here for you," yet disappears when you face hardship. Or someone who promises to support you but never follows through. These moments of abandonment don't just reflect poor timing, they expose a deeper absence of integrity. The Stoics taught us to observe people not when they're being watched, but when they think no one's paying attention, when there's nothing for them to gain. That's when you see someone's true self, unfiltered by performance or self-interest. By shifting your attention from words to actions, you sharpen your ability to spot deception and deepen your understanding of others. This practice won't just shield you from emotional harm, it will help you cultivate honest, lasting relationships built on trust and authenticity. And just as importantly, it invites you to reflect inward. Are your own actions aligned with your values? Do your behaviors reflect what you claim to believe? As we just explored, a person's true nature is revealed not by what they say, but by what they consistently do. Now let's turn our attention to another powerful lens for discernment: how people respond to your success. Principle number 2. Evaluate their response to your success in everyday life. Few things reveal a person's authentic emotions more clearly than your achievements. When you rise, when you win, how do they react? Those who genuinely care for you will celebrate with sincerity. They'll smile with pride, not pretense. Their joy is real because they don't see your success as a threat, but as a beautiful marker of your effort and evolution. But not everyone is like that. Some people may say the right things: "I'm happy for you, you deserve it," yet something in their tone feels off. You sense hesitation, a forced smile, or an awkward silence that lingers just a little too long. That's often envy in disguise. In more obvious cases, they might try to downplay your achievement with backhanded compliments or subtle criticism. "Well, it's not that big of a deal," or "you just got lucky." These are not harmless comments. They're quiet attempts to chip away at your confidence. And the damage isn't just emotional. These reactions can erode trust, poison friendships, and silently corrode your sense of safety in relationships. But more importantly, they reveal something essential: the dark corners of someone's character. There's a saying, "The only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday." Those who truly respect and support you live by this principle. They see your growth as inspiring, not intimidating. Your success becomes a shared joy, not a silent competition. Now think back. Can you remember a time when you reached a milestone you were proud of? Maybe it was a promotion, a creative breakthrough, or something deeply personal. Who showed up with genuine joy? And who suddenly turned cold, distant, or critical? That moment likely showed you more about their true nature than any conversation. ever could. True supporters will offer encouragement, constructive feedback, and positivity. But those harboring envy may spread rumors, whisper behind your back, or try to minimize your accomplishments by attributing them to chance instead of hard work. When you start noticing these patterns, a tough but necessary decision arises. Do you address it or step back to protect your peace? The Stoics give us clarity here. Let go of what you cannot control. You cannot control another person's jealousy, insecurity, or bitterness, but you can choose your response. You can walk away from draining dynamics and surround yourself with people who uplift you, not silently compete with you. Most of all, remember this timeless Stoic insight. You can often learn more about someone's true character from how they react to your success than from anything they say. Pay attention. Their reactions are clues. They will guide you toward the people who deserve your trust and away from those who quietly wish to see you fall. As we just explored, how people react to your success can reveal far more than their words ever will. But there's another powerful lens the Stoics give us, one that reveals a person's moral character at its core. Principle #3. Observe how they treat those who can't benefit them. One of the most profound teachings in Stoic philosophy is this: true respect and compassion are measured not by how we treat those above us, but how we treat those below us. A noble character never looks down on others. It doesn't matter whether someone is wealthy or poor, influential or invisible. Every person deserves to be treated with dignity. Think about that for a moment. A person's real values are not revealed when they stand before a crowd or try to impress someone in power. They're revealed in quiet moments when they interact with those who have nothing to offer them in return. That's when you see the truth of who they are. Virtuous individuals, those who embody integrity, treat everyone with fairness and empathy, regardless of status or title. Whether they're speaking to a national leader or a janitor, their behavior remains consistent. Why? Because they understand something fundamental. Every human being has inherent worth, but those who are driven by envy, pride, or deceit, they operate differently. Their kindness is conditional, strategic, calculated. You might notice how their tone shifts depending on who's in the room. They may flatter someone with power, but grow dismissive, even hostile, towards someone they perceive as having no influence. And the moment no one's watching, that's when their mask drops. This double standard, treating the powerful with charm while mistreating the powerless, isn't just rude. It's a flashing warning sign of arrogance, insecurity, and a lack of true character. Because kindness that only shows up when there's something to gain isn't kindness at all. Let's bring this into a real world example. Imagine someone at work who is all smiles and praise when the CEO walks in, but then turns impatient and demeaning toward the cleaning staff or junior employees. What does that tell you? Their respect is not rooted in human decency. It's tied to power and personal ambition. Their friendliness is a performance. Their politeness is a tool. That's why Stoicism urges us to observe not just the words people speak, but how they behave when there's nothing to gain. It teaches us to look closely, not only at others, but at ourselves as well. So pause and reflect. How do you treat those who are vulnerable, struggling, or in a position of less power? Are you consistent in your kindness, or does it change depending on who you're speaking to? These moments of reflection are not just about calling others out. They're about becoming the kind of person whose character shines through in all circumstances, not just the convenient ones. In the previous part, we explored how someone's treatment of those in lesser positions reveals their true values. Now let's take another powerful step on this Stoic journey, one that asks us to listen more closely, not just to others' actions, but also to their words, especially the ones that sound too sweet. Principle number 4. Distinguish between praise and flattery. At first glance, praise might seem like a gift and affirmation, a gesture of kindness. But Stoicism teaches us that not all praise is created equal. Some of it is sincere, but some of it is dangerous. One of the more subtle yet deceptive behaviors you'll encounter in life is excessive flattery. It often slips under our radar because it sounds positive. Who doesn't enjoy a compliment? But when someone consistently goes overboard with their praise, it's worth asking, why? There's a clear difference between genuine encouragement and manipulative flattery. Sincere praise uplifts. It's grounded in reality and aligns with your actual efforts. But flattery? It's often inflated, unearned, and comes with a hidden price. Stoic philosophy reminds us of a timeless truth. Your true worth comes from within, not from the approval of others. No external praise, no matter how grand, can replace the self-respect that comes from living with integrity. So the next time someone showers you with compliments, pause and reflect. Do their words align with your real accomplishments? Or are they trying to win your favor with over-the-top admiration? Could they be masking jealousy, trying to lower your guard, or even attempting to manipulate you? Flattery can be a quiet trap. When you start believing it without question, you risk becoming dependent on outside validation. And once that happens, you become easier to control your emotions, decisions, and even your self-image can be shaped by someone else's motives. Marcus Aurelius put it simply but powerfully. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Even praise, if misused, can throw you off balance. This is why Stoicism urges us to remain grounded. When compliments come, receive them with gratitude, but also with clarity. Stay centered. Ask yourself, is this praise rooted in truth? Or is it an attempt to sway me? Take a common workplace example. You might have colleagues who constantly praise you, telling you how brilliant or talented you are. But when you need real support, they're nowhere to be found. Worse, they may even speak against you when you're not around. Their flattery wasn't kindness, it was a cover. This type of behavior is not just disingenuous, it's harmful. Recognizing flattery for what it is helps protect your emotional well-being. It allows you to stay aligned with your core values and guard against manipulation. More importantly, it empowers you to build relationships rooted in honesty, not performance or ego. Stroking. So ask yourself, have you ever been flattered excessively? How did it make you feel and what did you do about it? These moments are worth reflecting on. They hold valuable lessons not just for protecting yourself, but for growing wiser in your interactions with others. In the previous part, we examined how excessive flattery can serve as a mask for manipulation. But sometimes, deception isn't loud or obvious, it creeps in quietly through inconsistency. And that's where we turn next. Principle number 5. Monitor consistency. If you truly want to understand someone's character, don't just listen to what they say, watch what they repeat. Stoic philosophy reminds us again and again. Words are cheap, but consistent actions reveal the truth. It's easy to make promises, declare noble intentions, or talk about values. But living those values consistently, even when it's inconvenient, that's where real integrity shows up. So how can you apply this in everyday life? Start by observing how people behave in different situations. Do their actions stay aligned with their words? Or do they shift depending on personal advantage, social setting, or who's in the room? A jealous or dishonest person often struggles to maintain that alignment. One moment, they're warm and supportive, especially when they want something from you. But as soon as they no longer need you, their tone changes. The warmth fades. The support vanishes. You might recognize this in subtle ways. For example, someone might loudly praise your success in a meeting, only to quietly downplay it later. In private conversations, this isn't just rudeness, it's a pattern that reveals deeper issues of envy, resentment, or manipulation. What's important here is not to jump to conclusions based on a single moment. Instead, take your time. Watch for patterns. Does this inconsistency show up again and again? Does the person wear different masks depending on who they're interacting with? If someone presents one version of themselves to you and a completely different one to others, it's a strong indication that something is being hidden. And more often than not, it's not something good. Another powerful method for evaluating consistency is to observe how someone treats everyone, not just the people they benefit from. Genuine individuals treat others with steady respect and fairness, regardless of status or personal gain. They don't switch their behavior based on usefulness. Their loyalty, kindness, and conduct remain stable across the board, and that's what makes them reliable and trustworthy. In contrast, insincere people are selective. They flatter those they want something from and ignore or mistreat those who hold no value to them. This favoritism is not just unkind, it's a sign of selfishness, dishonesty, and shallow motives. Now take a moment to ask yourself, do you know someone whose behavior changes with the wind? Are they steadfast in their values, or do they adjust their attitude to fit the outcome they want? If your answer raises concern, don't ignore it. These inconsistencies often point to hidden jealousy, insecurity, or manipulation. But this principle isn't only about evaluating others, it's also an invitation to reflect inward. Are you consistent in how you treat people? Do your actions reflect your values no matter the setting or circumstance? Stoicism calls us to be unwavering, not perfect, but steady. By holding ourselves to that standard, we lead by example and become more skilled at spotting who around us is doing the same. In the last section, we examined how consistency, or the lack of it, reveals someone's true nature. But another equally powerful indicator of character lies in how a person responds when they're challenged. Because let's face it, anyone can appear composed when praised. But how do they act when criticized? Principle number 6. Observe their attitude. When criticized first, a quick note before we dive deeper. We're now halfway through this journey of Stoic self-mastery. If you've stayed with us this far, thank you. Your focus, your curiosity, and your presence here help spread timeless Stoic wisdom to a world that deeply needs it. If you're still walking this path with energy and purpose, drop a comment that says, "Always observe carefully." That way, we know you're continuing this journey with intention. Now let's return to a crucial lesson one that Marcus Aurelius, the revered Stoic emperor, captured beautifully. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone. It is the person who continues in their self-deception and ignorance who is harmed. That single quote holds incredible weight. In Stoic philosophy, the wise are not those who never make mistakes, but those who welcome correction. To a Stoic, criticism isn't an attack, it's a tool, a moment of clarity, a stepping stone to improvement. When someone truly values growth and wisdom over pride, they do not fear criticism. They appreciate it. Even when it stings, they lean into it because they know it can refine their thoughts, sharpen their judgment, and help them evolve. Compare that with the response of someone insecure or deceitful. When criticized even gently, they may instantly react with anger, sarcasm, or deflection. They may lash out, change the subject, or even attack the one offering feedback. Their defensiveness doesn't protect their dignity, it reveals their fear. Why such a reaction? Because criticism threatens the fragile image they've built of themselves. They're not grounded in truth, they're clinging to pride. And when truth approaches, it feels like a threat rather than a gift. Have you ever seen this play out? Maybe in a friend, a coworker, or even a leader. Someone who, when offered sincere feedback, immediately shut down, lashed out, or sought revenge instead of reflection. That reaction often signals unresolved insecurity or an unwillingness to face their flaws. Now consider the opposite. A leader or individual who listens calmly, considers the feedback, and thanks the person for their honesty. These are the people you want to trust. Their openness creates safety. It builds trust. It fosters a culture where growth thrives and fear has no place. This contrast is especially visible in leadership roles. A confident, grounded leader welcomes constructive input, knowing it strengthens the team. But a fearful, ego-driven leader silences criticism and punishes honesty, creating an atmosphere of tension and mistrust. And here's where we turn the mirror inward. How do you respond to criticism? When someone pointed out one of your mistakes recently, did you listen with humility, or did you jump to defend yourself? This small moment of reflection can tell you a lot about your emotional resilience and maturity. The Stoic path challenges you to seek truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Those who chase growth welcome feedback. Those ruled by insecurity push it away. One path leads to self-mastery. The other keeps you stuck. As we move forward, we'll uncover yet another revealing pattern of behavior, how someone speaks about others when they're not around. You might be surprised by what that says about their true character. In the last segment, we reflected on how a person responds to criticism, a moment that often lays their ego bare. But there's another subtle behavior that can reveal even more: the way people compare you to others when they think you're not paying close attention. Principle #7. Attentively notice unintentional comparisons. Unconscious comparisons are everywhere. They slip into everyday conversations almost unnoticed, hidden within passing remarks, light jokes, or offhanded comments. On the surface, they may seem harmless or even helpful. But Stoic philosophy teaches us something deeper. These subtle comparisons can often signal insecurity, envy, or a quiet need to diminish you. You've likely heard it before. Maybe a friend says, "That's a great project you did. But Sarah did something similar, and it was even more impressive." Or a colleague casually adds, "You're doing well, but have you seen how fast Mark is climbing the ranks?" At first, these remarks might sound like neutral observations. But when they become repetitive, or show up at moments when you should be celebrated, they reveal much more than they intend. In many cases, these comparisons are not about helping you grow. They're about shrinking your confidence so that someone else can feel bigger. They're subtle ways of projecting inner dissatisfaction outward, often at your expense. Take this scenario. You reach an important milestone at work, something you've worked on for weeks. Instead of a genuine congratulations, a coworker shrugs and says, "That's nice, but I think John pulled it off better when he did it last quarter." Now ask yourself, does that comment truly aim to support you? Or does it quietly attempt to cut you down? According to Stoicism, this is not just poor etiquette, it's a red flag. These kinds of remarks often stem from jealousy that hasn't been acknowledged. And rather than confronting their own insecurities, people resort to comparisons as a defense mechanism. True friends, however, don't feel the need to measure your worth against others. They don't rank you. They respect you as you are. Their admiration doesn't require someone else to fall so you can rise. They simply recognize your growth as valuable in its own right. So how do you protect yourself? First, pay attention. Start noticing who, in your circle, frequently draws comparisons, especially when you achieve something. Do they uplift you? Or do their words quietly undermine your success? Next, ask yourself, how do you feel after these comments? Inspired or deflated? These emotional cues can often tell you more than the words themselves. And here's the key: Stoic insight. These comparisons, like so many external opinions, are outside your control. But your response? That's completely in your hands. You don't have to internalize them. You don't have to let them chip away at your confidence. When you learn to recognize these behaviors for what they are, you protect your peace and maintain your emotional clarity. Do these ideas resonate with you? If yes, affirm it by embracing the Stoic approach to observation. If you're unsure or disagree, consider pausing to reflect or even opening a dialogue to explore these truths further. Previously, we explored how subtle comparisons can reveal hidden insecurities. Now, let's turn our attention to an even deeper test of character, one that doesn't arise during success, but in the face of personal failure. Principle number 8. Pay attention to their reactions to personal failures. According to Stoic philosophy, failure is not something to fear or avoid. It is one of life's greatest teachers. It strips away illusion and reveals a person's true nature. Strong, honest individuals don't run from failure. They meet it with humility, with reflection, and with a willingness to grow. When they fall short, they don't look for excuses or point fingers. Instead, they take ownership of their mistakes and ask the tough questions. What can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? These are the people you can respect. You can trust them, because even in their low moments, they show courage, responsibility, and emotional maturity. They turn failures into stepping stones and setbacks into catalysts for self-improvement. But there's another type of reaction, one rooted in insecurity and self-deception. Jealous or deceitful individuals often cannot accept failure as their own. Instead of facing it, they deflect. Instead of taking responsibility, they shift the blame. You might hear them blame a colleague, complain about unfair circumstances, or even manipulate the narrative to protect their ego. In some cases, they'll go even further, bad-mouthing others, spreading misinformation, or trying to undermine those who witness their failure. Why? Because failure threatens the image they've built for themselves, and they'll do anything to protect that image, even at the cost of honesty and fairness. Ask yourself, have you ever known someone who never admits fault? Who always blames others when things go wrong? This behavior might seem like simple defensiveness, but often it points to deeper issues: hidden envy, a fragile ego, or a lack of integrity. To spot this more clearly, observe how people act during adversity. When plans fall apart or mistakes are exposed, how do they respond? Do they acknowledge their role? Do they reflect and take steps to grow? Or do they escape accountability and point the finger elsewhere? An honest person will confront their failures head on. They'll own their shortcomings, not hide from them. A dishonest person, on the other hand, will do everything possible to protect their image, even if it means distorting the truth. As Daisaku Ikeda once said, a person's true nature is revealed at times of the greatest adversity. That insight echoes the Stoic belief that character isn't forged in comfort. It's revealed in crisis. So take time to reflect. How do the people around you handle failure? Do they embrace it with grace or resist it with blame? Don't be fooled by appearances or clever words. Instead, watch their behavior when things fall apart, because those are the moments when someone's real character becomes unmistakably clear. In the last part, we explored how someone's reaction to failure can expose the strength or fragility of their character. Now let's turn inward again and examine a more subtle yet equally powerful signal: the way people talk about themselves and others when they think no one's paying close attention. Principle number 9. Evaluate how they share personal information before we continue. I invite you to share your reflections in the comments. Your stories, your lessons can help others walk this Stoic path more clearly. Let's keep learning together. Now, let's consider the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What we speak reveals what we think, and what we think shapes who we are." That's why Stoic philosophy encourages us to pay careful attention to how people speak, especially about themselves. Sincere individual doesn't need to boast. When they talk about their success, there's humility in their tone. They focus less on impressing and more on what they learned along the way. Their stories aren't just about their victories, but about the growth, struggle, and effort it took to get there. In contrast, deceitful or insecure individuals often exaggerate. They may stretch the truth, embellish small accomplishments, or even fabricate stories to gain admiration or manipulate others' perceptions. Ask yourself, do they seem overly proud of small achievements? Do they constantly try to position themselves as more capable or experienced than they truly are? When people inflate their image, it often reveals a deeper need for validation, or worse, a willingness to deceive. But it's not just about how they speak of success. How someone discusses their failures is just as revealing. A truly honest person will admit their missteps without shame. They'll speak of what they got wrong and what those failures taught them. Their vulnerability becomes a bridge to deeper trust. But if someone always avoids their failures, or worse, blames others, circumstances, or bad luck, they're likely protecting a fragile ego. This evasion is a red flag. It suggests not just insecurity, but also a lack of accountability and emotional maturity. Now look even closer. Some individuals don't just misrepresent themselves, they also share private details about others with careless or even malicious intent. They gossip. They leak secrets. They twist facts to tear others down, especially those they feel threatened by. Why do they do this? Because envy breeds manipulation. These people seek to lower others in order to raise themselves. But in doing so, they expose their own instability and inner turmoil. So the next time you're in a conversation, listen carefully. Do they frequently speak negatively about people who aren't present? Do they use comparisons to subtly elevate themselves? Do they frame their stories to cast themselves as heroes, while others become villains? These are not just signs of petty gossip. They're deeper indicators of jealousy, manipulation, and insecurity traits that Stoicism urges us to recognize and guard against. By becoming more attuned to these subtle cues, you sharpen your discernment. You begin to see beyond the surface, beyond the charm or confidence, and into the true nature of someone's character. In the previous section, we explored how subtle communication habits, especially how people speak about themselves and others, can reveal the hidden layers of their character. But there's one final and deeply personal guide to discernment that often gets overlooked: your own inner voice. Principle number 10. Listen to your inner voice. Sometimes, no matter how polite someone is, no matter how friendly they appear, something just doesn't sit right. Have you ever experienced that? Perhaps it's a colleague who's always smiling, always offering help, but when you're around them, you feel strangely tense, guarded, or even drained. If that sounds familiar, it might be time to stop ignoring that discomfort and start trusting your instincts. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our intuition, what some call the sixth sense, is not some mystical force. It's a deeply practical tool, evolved over time to help us detect hidden danger. When something feels off, even if you can't logically explain it yet, that feeling often comes from subtle cues your mind has picked up on: body language, tone, inconsistencies in behavior. Think back for a moment. Have you ever felt uneasy around someone without knowing exactly why? Then, over time, that discomfort proved to be well-founded? Maybe they constantly tried to outdo you in quiet ways, turning every conversation into a competition. Maybe their compliments felt too polished, too forced, like they were crafted more to manipulate than to uplift. Or maybe they'd say the right things, but their actions told a different story. These kinds of subtle contradictions between words and energy, between posture and intention, can trigger a quiet alarm in your mind. It's your inner voice noticing what logic hasn't caught up with yet. But Stoicism reminds us, don't blindly follow emotion. Balance instinct with reason. Yes, trust your gut, but also pause to examine it. Ask yourself, what exactly is making me uncomfortable? Is this based on a clear pattern of behavior, or just a passing feeling? Do their actions match their words? Or is there a subtle tension beneath the surface? That tension, the gap between appearance and intention, is often where deception hides. And it's where your inner voice becomes most valuable. So next time you feel unsettled around someone, don't ignore it. Tune in, reflect, observe. Your instincts may be whispering truths your mind hasn't fully put into words yet. And when you pair that intuition with the rational clarity Stoicism encourages, you sharpen your ability to protect your peace and surround yourself with people who bring genuine value to your life. Up next, we'll bring everything together, every principle, every insight, into a clear and actionable mindset. A Stoic approach you can carry with you daily to navigate relationships and protect your soul with both wisdom and strength. In the previous section, we explored the quiet power of intuition and how, when balanced with reason, it becomes one of your greatest allies in protecting your peace. Now let's bring all the lessons together, grounding them in action and clarity. Final reflection. Let wisdom guide your next step. Take a moment, breathe, reflect. Before rushing to judge or act, give yourself the space to truly observe. What is your heart sensing? What is your mind saying? The Stoics remind us that true wisdom lives in the harmony between these two voices. When instinct and logic align, you make decisions not from fear or impulse, but from strength and clarity. Identifying jealousy and deception isn't easy. In fact, it's one of life's more subtle challenges. These forces often wear masks, they smile, they flatter, they pretend to care. And they can appear anywhere, among friends, colleagues, even within relationships that once felt safe. But by embracing the 10 timeless Stoic principles we've covered, you equip yourself with a powerful filter, a lens that helps you see people as they truly are, not as they pretend to be. Don't forget, your peace of mind is precious. Your time, your energy, your emotional well-being, these are not things to be handed out carelessly. You deserve to spend your life surrounded by those who celebrate you sincerely, not compete with you silently. So what now? Now, it's time to act. Take what you've learned and apply it one insight at a time. Watch more closely. Listen more deeply. Protect your space. And most importantly, build your life around people who reflect the same values you strive to embody: truth, respect, humility, and resilience. You don't need perfect people in your life, but you do need honest ones. If this journey has resonated with you, I challenge you, pick just one principle from this video and apply it today. Whether it's observing someone's consistency, recognizing hidden comparison, or trusting your inner voice tested in the real world. And when you do, come back and comment, "I did it." Share how it changed your perspective, your boundaries, or your peace, because the first step towards self-mastery isn't grand or dramatic, it's the quiet decision to live with greater awareness. One moment at a time. Let Stoic wisdom be your compass. Let it lead you not just to strength, but to peace, clarity, and the kind of life you truly deserve.